Hi, and welcome to another episode of the history of fan anime in North America. And I'm your host, William Chow. And today's episode is going to be a little bit of a fun one for me because I'm not going to say so much about so much more of the history, but I'm going to give you more a show and tell, so a lot more stories this episode. The theme today is going to be music and the acquisition of music. Now, as given on an earlier episode, in episode 1, where I basically laid down the base of how we had to go and get anime. Not only do we have to worry about video and how to get the video basically physically from Japan, the same thing applies to music. When you hear a great piece of music, as let's say, for example, the opening theme song for a show, and you would like to get the rest of that song, a full-length version of that song, you just can't go to YouTube or go to Google because those things don't exist. The internet wasn't fast enough that you could stream that kind of information, and there is no, oh well, we'll just go to iTunes and download it there. No, again, that didn't exist yet. So where do you get this music from? So let's say one of the first influences for me was I watched Macross the movie, and I really liked that the singing that Mary Ajima did in that series, both all her songs and the opening theme song and the ending theme song. Now, fortunately, in the Macross movie, this version of the song that she sang there was a full-length version. So back in the day, I just pulled out my good old Radio Shack tape recorder and just basically make an audio tape recording of that entire song, and that was all there. But what do you do for things, for example, let's say the opening credits for Macross? It's only 30 seconds long. So I wanted the rest of it. Where do you go to get that? And again, you just can't go to Google and look for it. You'd actually have to physically try to find that copy of that tape or some recording of that, and then basically have someone make an audio tape copy of that music for you, and then basically send it to you. Now, the other way that saving someone that not actually having any contacts in Japan at that time, that was able to do that for me, I had to settle for getting the information the other way. As I shown in episode 2, these magazines were very, very useful in that. And so in this episode, I'm going to go over some of the things that I managed to find, through the magazines, and some different examples of music that anime music that I really, really enjoyed. And then I went through some rather interesting extents and some funny stories about how I got the music for it. So, in addition to like the Anime V magazines and whatnot, they have these little short snippet books. This one is called Anime Song Collection. It actually came as an extra insert from one of the Anime Media magazines. And one of the cool things that's in these magazines is not only does it have the opening theme song. In this case, I'm looking at the opening theme song for Evangelion, and it also has the ending theme song, "Fly Me to the Moon." But also, it has also the lyrics written out for you, and it also has the sheet music. So if you're interested in trying to play it on the piano or something, it also has the sheet music here for you, so you can play with. But the little key piece of information here is that it shows you a picture of the CD single, and it gives you the code number for the CD single. So I was able to then take this information, take it to a Wasi bookstore or Sophia's bookstore, and say, hey, I'd like to order this. Here's the code number. Do what you need to do. And then they would order it in, and it would come in, and then I'd be able to get that particular CD soundtrack, and then there I'd have the full length version of the song, and then that was really great. Now, some of the things I really, really enjoyed was some of the music. Now, the only problem, of course, this is is sometimes you have no idea what you're ordering, because again, there is no like iTunes where you're able to go to iTunes and click on it and say, listen to like 10 seconds, 15 seconds of the song and determine whether you actually even like the song. No, you got this code number and it's for a CD or something. You have really no idea whether or not the CD actually even contains the song that you're even looking for or like, let alone a full-length version. Maybe it's just an instrumental version, or maybe some sort of other variant version played by a different instrument. Or maybe it might not even have any music at all. Maybe it's a drama CD for all you know, and it's all full of talking. You really don't know. And the typical CD was 3,000 yen, so that's about $30 US. Are you willing to gamble on the CD and pay $30 and find out that it's not the right thing? It's not like you can get a refund for it. It's just now you're stuck with it. Well, unless of course you caught eBay when it was a nice time and you can probably maybe eBay it. Anyway, so I'm just gonna go over some of the cool things that I came over that are really shall I say, it meant something special to me, because again, when you start spending this kind of money on just a regular CD, I mean, these things only have 10, 12, maybe 17 songs on it, and you're paying $30 for these things, then it really means you actually really have to like it, because at this time, I was working for Radio Shack, and my wage was probably like $8, to about $10 an hour at around this time of the year. So this showed a whole day's worth of paycheck just to get like a single sneaking CD. Pretty expensive. But again, in an era of disposable income, what else was I going to do with the money? Anyway, so one of the really favorite things I remember doing was I remember flipping through these magazines, and I saw this thing. Oh, hey, what's this Orange Road box set? And it wasn't so much the fact it was a box set, because I already had bought a whole bunch of the Orange Road CDs, but the thing is, it came with a promotional book. Oh, I said, okay, well, these boxes and DVDs and that kind of stuff come with a lot more space, so a lot of premium stuff came inside these boxes, right? So I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and order it. So the particular thing I ordered was this thing here. It is called the Kimagure Orange Road Eternal Sound Cutter Collection Box Set. Okay, and the cool thing about it is it actually, if you open it up here, and it actually comes with 9 mini CDs. So these are like compact discs, but they're the smaller dimension. Okay, they're only about 3 inches in size. So they fit in a smaller insert in your CD tray. And what this CD comes with is it's basically all the sort of opening and ending theme songs and musical scores and that kind of stuff for the Orange Road TV series. Which is, again, most of it I had on the Orange Road Sound Color 1, 2, and 3. But it's nice to have it in a nice little CD collection box set like this. But the other really cool thing was, again, this promotional book that it came with. Well, it came with this book here. It's called the Akemi Takada Illustrations. And what it is, she's the artist that draws all the watercolor pencil artwork that you see on the front covers of all the Laserdiscs, and then even on top in front of this CD disc thing here. And again, it basically has a compilation of all the various different artworks, front covers, and all that stuff, and all in watercolor about this thing. And it's a beautiful book for the price of what it was, and it was basically a really great buy. The cost of this box set is 13,000 yen. So this is like $130 US to get this thing in. And so it's a kind of an expensive box, but again, definitely worth the artwork that was in it. Now, the extra cravat to this was, I went down to Anime America, okay? So this is the predecessor to Anime Expo. It was held at the In this case, it was held at the Anaheim Convention Center / Disneyland Hotel combination this year. And their featured guest this year was, for 1996, was Akemi Takada. Okay, so the artist for Orange Road and Creamy Mommy, to name a few. And she also does the artwork for Pat Labor, which is another series that Arctic Animation did subtitle. Again, I'll get into that in another episode. So what you're going to want to do is right below here, there's a subscribe and a like button. You want to click both of those and make sure that you get the next notifications. So when I get to those episodes, you'll be able to catch those. All right, so make sure you catch those. Anyway, so she's this great artist that was going to show up and be at this convention. So, oh boy, gotta bring this book here. Gotta take it to her and get it signed, right? And get her to put her autograph into it, and it'd be great. So I got in the line, and actually almost bumped into her when I was going to the elevator, but their security team shooed me away. Kind of, this elevator is in use, go away, sort of thing. But so I managed to get into line and got her to sign it. And what was really funny is at this time, Orange Road was not commercially released in the U.S. So no merchandise or DVDs or anything that was available in North America for that. In addition to that, a lot of companies didn't have any Orange Road merchandise because it wasn't a really big selling thing. And by the time 96 came around, Orange Road was already over in Japan. So a lot of these, these companies like Nikaku Animart and maybe things like Laser Perceptions and that kind of stuff don't really have any merchandise left of Orange Road that you could really buy to get, for example, autographed unless you got in there really early. And of course places like Kinyakunua Books or something like that probably didn't have a lot of Orange Road stuff either. Maybe the odd CD or something like that. But again, because it had already ended in Japan several years ago, again, the merchandise is not really common to get. So the only other merchandise that was readily available was all the Hong Kong and Chinese bootleg stuff. Now, again, I'm going to get into this whole concept of the Japanese, the Chinese, how we consider them to be bootlegs because they're not designed to be released in one particular country, and etc. I'm going to get into that in another episode because this thing about bootlegs and counterfeits and this applies both to video cassettes, posters, wall scrolls like this, for example. All fall in that sort of category. Big topic, so I'm going to have to get into those in another episode, so don't forget, hit subscribe. That's going to be a hot topic, but I'll get into that later. Anyway, to continue with this story, I'm standing in line with all these people. Virtually everybody in line had bootleg pictures of Orange Road, and they're bringing it up to her to sign. Now, what's really funny is she'll look at the picture, okay, and she knows it's her picture, okay? It does, it's her artwork, it is her picture. But the way that Orange Road is written in Chinese is, well, since Kimagure is, again, a Japanese word and Orange Road is an English word, the Chinese, what they do is they write characters, like, kanji, if you will, that sound kind of the same as the word that there is, but you can't look at the meaning because the meaning of the word will be actually different. So they're trying to basically sound out the word Kimagure and Orange Road. They're not using the kanji for orange nor the kanji for road or anything like that. They're trying to use words that kind of sound like ki and ma and gu and re, and then try to put that together. Anyway, what obviously has happened is that she now looks at this piece of artwork, right? And it has this weird title on it. She's trying to read the title, and it's like, that's not what that's not Orange Road. That's some weird blah 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 thing or whatever. And she kind of gives it kind of a weird look, and then she kind of, does her little signature and kind of, with the use of her interpreter, and she kind of laughs and goes, kind of, woof woof, because you kind of think, this is an artist, doing her work, and it's like, you get something, and it's, it looks like your work, but it's not, because that's not what it says at the top of the thing. That's not the title, but that's just because that's the way it's written in Chinese. Kind of a funny story, but anyway. So I finally got it up to line, and I bring my book up to her to sign, and then she's again one of these little curious like she's never seen this before. She's never actually seen this book in a finished form before. So she actually takes it. She actually starts flipping through it, and she's going, wow. She says, this is a very nice book. And then I basically had to tell her, and then of course her interpreter then said, yes, this is the art book that came inside your the Orange Road Sound Color collection box. Okay, the CD box. And she goes, oh yeah, wakata, and then so basically then she went, after flipping through it, she smiled, and she went to the front page, and she signed it, but she also put her a little kind of a cat figure, maybe a little Jingiro type of a character on the very front of it, and she was really happy that was the case, and then I proceeded to go back to the end of the line and got this book also signed. I'll go over this in another thing, because this actually belongs to a different type of box, and I'll tell you what that's about later. Because she also did the same thing on this one. It's an orange illustration book, and on the back of this one, she signs it, and she actually draws a half picture, face picture of Madoka on it. And so she spent actually a little more time on this one. So yes. So all of a sudden, these now become very, very, sentimental favorites of mine now, because I've actually met the artist that actually did the drawings on these ones, and spent a little more money to buy the box sets that are associated with these ones. So that's why, again, what's different from the audio from nowadays is that if you like a new song, for example, let's say off Attack of the Titans, and you go online now or YouTube and just go, I'll just download it, put it into my into my iPhone, and I can listen to it 100 times until I get sick of it. Well, and then if you get sick of it, then you just sit there and swipe delete. Okay, gone. And no emotional attachment to it, no fear for loss. Who cares? Whatever. It's just poof, right? Away into the iCloud it goes. Okay. So that's my story for this Orange Road one. Another really fanatical thing that I got into was an anime called Parade. Now, don't Google this while you're at work, but okay, Parade is made by Pink Pineapple, which is one of the, shall we say, one of the hentai divisions of Toho, if I remember right. They made this anime, and and of course, I was one of the first to actually get the laserdisc for this particular show, just because I really enjoyed the manga when I was reading this one, and when I found out that they released it on anime, I was really quite quick to get this one. When I got laserdisc number 1, and I was watching it, again, great artwork. Don't mind the strangeness of the story, because it's an idol singer, for a better word, has the extra organ. It has a really nice a singing piece at the very end of the song, where the idol singer is doing her concert, and it has this really nice song on it called Ai Iro Otome. Okay, it's sung by Yoka Asada. Okay, and she's the seiyuu who does the voice for Kaori in the show, but she actually also sings that entire piece of the song. Now the trick about it is, in the video, the song only plays for the first verse, first chorus, and more or less ends there. And then the ending theme song, they repeat it over again, but only goes first verse, first chorus, end. And it's like, wow, that's a pretty good song. You know how you get those songs that they're stuck in your head, and you're going, man, I like that. And then you put it in this case, I recorded it to a tape, and I kept on playing that short loop tape over and over again. I got to a point where I actually since I worked at Radio Shack, what I did is I put it onto an answering machine tape. So for those who are not familiar, in the past, before the digital answering machine chips we had answering machine tapes, which basically after a certain amount of time they'd loop over again. So it would go right back to the beginning, and you'd get to play the thing over from the beginning. Classic radio station carts were also this way. So when they play your hit songs, they stick on this cart, and it would play the song, and then at the end of the song, it technically loops, the tape looped back again and became beginning again, so that the cart machine would then stop, and then the song would be then cued, ready to play for the next time the radio station wanted to play it again. Anyway, what I did with these audio cassettes is from Radio Shack, I used one of these answering machine cassettes, and I basically recorded this on essentially about a minute and a half answering machine loop tape. And basically that allowed me to play the song over and over and over and over and over again, and it just keep playing. And I got really obsessed with this particular song. I thought, okay, maybe when I bought the second episode of Parade has 2 episodes. If you want to check that anime out. It's actually pretty good story, a little bit strange, but and if you can handle that the futa stuff again, then okay, then don't worry about it. I thought maybe the second episode would have some more of it, so that maybe I can, try to take that what I got from episode 1 and what I got from episode 2, and piece it together and make a full song. Again, generally speaking, for TV series and OAVAs, it was relatively easy to find anime soundtracks and that kind of stuff, because they usually bundle it with other BGM sound music and other things to make it a full CD, and then they can release a full CD. But with a lot of hentai titles, there isn't a lot of other stuff that they put into it. And this Seiyu is even harder, because this is a Seiyu song, Seiyu being the voice actor. They don't actually have a lot of their own, sort of a compilation of all their music put together into one, unless they're really famous Seiyu. And even then, because of copyright issues, they can't pool all their songs from all these different animes into one CD. So, for example, Megumi Hashibara couldn't pull her theme song from, let's say, Slayers, or something, and put it onto another one of her CDs of her own, or Saving Mary J, whatever. They can't put them all together into one compiled list. Okay. So after I got episode 2 and I played it, I ended up with the same problem. The 2 idol singers do a duet version of this Aioi Otome song, and they only sing one verse, one chorus. Then it rolls right into the ending, to the ending theme song of the show, which was basically a guitar solo, one more verse, one more end verse, end of song. So I got more, but it's not the full song. And I just recently Googled it on YouTube. There was somebody who actually put a kind of a chopped up version available online, and it's exactly the same thing I did back on video cassette, back in the day. And and that was as best as I could get at that time, because it said that the limited release of these things made it very hard for us to find this kind of stuff. So one day, I had a subscription to Media, Anime V, and New Type magazine. One day I was just flipping through the magazine, like I usually do, and right at the very corner, it was a mostly text ad, and I probably would have missed it for most part. And my Japanese isn't all that great. I mean, I only taken up to Japanese 100 at the university level, so very, very rudimentary Japanese, to say the least. But it was enough that I spotted the words "pink pineapple" in this ad. And so I looked at it more carefully, and I encoded the rest of the words and looked at it, and it basically came up to something that read, it was the best of the Pink Pineapple collection on a CD. And I went, perfect, that's it. that's got to be the CD. I mean, it seems to be about the right time. That has to have this song. Now again, I have no idea if it actually has this song. All I saw was a little ad. It has no track listing. It has no, it's not like iTunes where I can go, well, let's see if song number 1 is the right one. Let's see if song number 2 is the right one. I have no way of listening to that. I can't, email somebody or mail a letter to the company and say, yeah, does it contain this one song? I have no idea, right? But the only thing I knew is this is the title and here's the code number, and it was like 3,000 yen. Okay, fine. Take this information, bring it down to the bookstore, and let's order it in. So I ordered it in, get it in, and to my surprise, yes, it is the right one. Second song on the CD is that exact song, full-length version, which is basically first verse, chorus, second verse, chorus, guitar solo, and then first verse again, finishing the song. But yeah, great, perfect. Now I got a full version, and again, if you really search for it, you'll find it on YouTube, and there's a full MP3 version of it that you can listen to. But yes, so that was my story of how the song from Parade really got me really interested, and that's how I had to go through and get out. So that's another relatively special CD for me that I got, and that was one of those lucky strikes, where again I ordered a CD with no knowledge of what the content was, but I had just going on the title, I hoped that it was going to be what I wanted it to be. And in a future episode, I will find some CDs which I ordered in, and wow, I was surprised, if not, I won't say disappointed, I'll say very, very surprised at what the content was, and maybe I'll get that into another episode. So click subscribe below, and we'll get into those. Okay. Now I'm going to get into a little bit of video game stuff, because one of my main inspirations for doing this video cast was from Happy Console Gamer. Now I'll just call him Johnny, because in his previous podcast he went by the name Johnny Millennium. He did one episode which is about anime now and then, and he contrasted how he started in anime and how anime was back then and now, and then compared it to what it is now. And that's essentially what this video cast is basically contrasting what the anime was during my time, and since I was one of the key pioneers of how anime progressed onwards, it's probably a very suitable fit that I should probably do a podcast video cast on this particular topic, so that I can actually bring materials and memorabilia out forward to show you. Anyway, so on the topic of that, I'm going to do a couple of video game ones, just sort of like a cross sort of promotion. So yeah, if you like video games, that kind of stuff, I definitely have them check it out. Happy Console Gamer, and John's got some pretty good stuff for you there. Anyway, so like most of us, we had one of the simple 8-bit consoles. Again, I had pretty much all of them. Super Nintendo. With the big at that time I remember spending $800 on a Game Doctor copying device, which was like the treasure at that time. I had my Sega Genesis with a big Sega CD, and really the only thing I played on the Sega CD was the Star Wars one, was the Star Wars game. But one cartridge game that we played a hell of a lot was Warsong. Okay, now Warsong, I also ended up getting the original Japanese version of the cartridge, which went under the name Langrisser. Now, part of the reason I got Langrisser and came up and later found out that Langrisser was released as Warsong, but one of my favorite anime artists does the artwork for that one, which is Satoshi Ushihara. We gave him the nickname the Breast Man, and if you look at the animes that he does, which namely is Langrisser, Growlancer, he does Plastic Little, he gets into a little bit of hentai with one called Front Innocence, you'll notice a certain commonality with this, and you'll know why we nicknamed him the Breast Man. Okay, you'll definitely notice the certain part of the body that he draws very, very well, and spends probably way too much time, making sure that is right. Anyway, so when I'm playing here, I'm playing Langrisser, and I was quite happy, going through and played it multiple times. Played more so, and the Sega Genesis version was good then. One of the things that really struck me was this new advent of the PC Engine, because the PC Engine came out with this version of Langrisser, and I thought, okay, it's probably going to be just the same as War Songs, so no real big deal. But again, I was working at Radio Shack at this time, and Radio Shack was one of the very few places that actually carried the PC Engine, or of course, they called it the TurboGrafx. But one nice thing is it wasn't region locked, like the PlayStations later became. You could take Japanese CDs and put them into the TurboGrafx 16 units, and they would run, and you wouldn't have any problems with the region. So one of the things that was cool was Langrisser came on this new CD. So got one of these CDs in, and to try it out, and I put it in, and one of the first things, other than just the gameplay, that really got me was this. It wasn't really should I say motion video, because it didn't really have quote motion video, because it was sort of more like a cartoon type of thing, computer graphics, I guess you can say. But the one thing that really caught me was the soundtrack. It was a really good soundtrack, full with drum rolls, and it was heavy on the guitar. Like you'd think Lords of Thunder type of thing, but this one had really huge guitar solo with nice licks and stuff on the guitar. It was really intense, and it was really action. It really made you go for it, and if you're thinking of good fighting songs, inspirational type songs, this soundtrack, it was really, really good. So I not only was so interested in that, the CD itself, the game CD, if you stuck it into a computer, you would end up being able to actually extract the CD content out of it. So the basic layout of a PC Engine CD was basically track 1 is a standard audio track, which has usually a female voice. Sometimes it's a voice actor voice, warning you that this is a PC Engine CD. Please do not play it in your CD players. That may cause damage, because track 2 is where the data is stored on that. So if you try to play the data track, it sounds like a whole bunch of garbly noises and that kind of stuff, and it might blow your speakers out or something, or so they say. But after that, track 3 onwards was the actual musical soundtrack as it was played in the game, CD quality. So none of this 8-bit MIDI digitization conversion type stuff that you had on the Sega Genesis, but no, actual full CD quality, guitar, drums, all that, synthesizers, all that stuff was in full CD quality, and it was great. That's one of my favorite soundtracks. So I not only did I order a regular CD of that, even though I think the one that's actually on the game is still the best, but I also ordered the CD soundtrack for the Sega Genesis version. And surprisingly, it is that it has the same kind of music, but it wasn't as shall we say, as riveting. It wasn't so full action, action packed. It didn't have the speed and the and the push and the drive like the PC Engine version is. So again, if you're looking for a good music to maybe run by, do your exercises with, or whatever, you want to play, you're interested in playing these war games and that kind of stuff, and you want charge type of music, check this out, Langrisser. Definitely something really good to check out. Okay. And on a similar note, the other thing that really kind of was a sort of an inside joke, but it's also based off of Langrisser, is the Cho Ai Aniki soundtrack. Now, if you look this up, it's basically on its own. You'll notice it's basically a bunch of muscle-bound brothers who are going to basically try to take over the world with exercise and sweat. Okay. The Anikis play Samson and Adon. Okay. Obviously, they're doing a little bit of maybe the play over the the Hans and Franz. We're here to pump you up, type of thing. Bodybuilders, type of thing. They are actually featured as surprise characters in the Langrisser series of games, because they are a character that came from the Messiah factory of gameplay there, and they are sort of the hidden characters, but they became sort of like the inside joke for us. And so one of the things that they made on the PC Engine was they made the Aniki, Cho Ai Aniki shooting game, which is probably one of the bizarrest shooting games that you'll probably ever play, with the men's beam coming out of the pelvic region, and the head beam coming out of their heads, and the sweating attack. Definitely different things that are really rather strange and maybe a little bit homophobic, but again, a good inside joke. But they also have rather a very fun and also very, shall we say, workout friendly kind of music. Okay, whether or not it's it's something that gives you, it's high in the reps. The beats per minute is quite quick. Combination of some traditional sounds and instruments, fairly quick drums on there. Okay, less on the guitars, but more of the synthesizers and that kind of stuff. But definitely, we also, again, because the game was on the PC Engine, you were able to get the soundtrack right off the actual disc itself. And again, one of the funniest things that we did with it is that one time we got the animation groups around, and we decided to go down to Planet Laser to do a laser tag game. And if you got 20 guys together, you can have the laser floor to yourself. So I remember we went up there and we said, okay, we had like 16, so we were just short by a little bit, and so they grabbed a bunch of people that are standing around or whatever, and they threw them into our game. And whether they cared or not, I don't know. They just threw them in. Anyway, we asked the guy, okay, we made this special CD that we want to have played, since we more or less got the floor. We want to play this. And so we gave them this a specially burned a selection of music, which starts off with the Aniki squats. Okay, because that's one of the ways that the Anikis built muscle. Okay, again, if you look into the special level of Langrisser 2, Der Langrisser, there is the Anikis are taking over the world, and the Langrisser team has to beat them down, and one of the special attacks is the Aniki beam. Anyway, so we basically went through and we played laser tag, a whole laser tag segment with Aniki music. I remember we threw some Nami Amuro in there, and we threw the Street Fighter song in there, and a few other good mixture of songs, Armitage the Third, if I remember right, all into this big huge mix, and we basically played laser tag in that, and we had a good time. I'm sure the other people that kind of got thrown in were going, what the? Anyway, that's what happens when you're a non-anime fan in an anime world. Anyway, the anime which I'm going to recommend, Richard Sherman, is going to be a Whip Boy anime. So the biggest Whip Boy anime I can think of is this one right here. It is Bakuret's Hunter, and it was released in North America under the name Sorcerer Hunters. And basically it's a powerful magic user who is basically going from town to town looking for the beautiful women in each town. He's being followed by two sisters who keep him under control by pulling out the whips and whipping him into action, as it were. These are the two other cohorts which help them follow. The big muscle-bound one, there's a pretty big funny story with that. And the notable thing about this show is that the sisters have a transformation scene as they change into their other form, and unlike the Incredible Hulk, they have a much more, shall we say, pleasant look. So, Richard Sherman, check this one out. Lots of eye candy in this one, and you'll like it. Sorcerers, Hunters. So, until next time, I will see you again.